Okay, so first I would like to say, it's wonderful that you all came, and I really appreciate you coming today. I really, really do, and for those that came yesterday as well. I have a question. How many people here are transitioning from somewhat of the standard American diet to veganism and raw foodism, which we basically would call raw foodists? Is there, how many people? Wonderful. Okay, so this, I'm going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb, because as you can already see, I chopped all this stuff up, and you go, what the heck is it? So I'll go over it. And what I want to call this is it's become, over the last 8 years in my transitioning from the standard American diet, and I think most know what that means. I think everybody does. Sad. I call it human garbage disposals. Literally, I was, and then some. But it took years. It is a transitionary thing. Layers come off of you, layers and layers and layers, and between the cleansing that I've done and the raw foods over the years, I have to say, certain passages that I've gone through, I've almost bought the farm several times of detoxing. Just almost checked out several times. It makes it kind of scary, but it's not. It was just, that was for me. It doesn't have to be everybody that way, but they will go through what's called a healing crisis, toxic, or just a cleansing reactions, healing crisis, and then they could actually have a disease crisis. So it just depends on what level of accumulation that you've acquired, and I've come up with a little formula, and I don't know if any of my colleagues spoke about it earlier, but my little thing that I just brought up in my head, I thought, okay, there's a formula for ascending to higher or extraordinary levels of health. First is deaccumulation, then alkalization and mineralization equals regeneration and illumination. That's my little motto. Deaccumulation plus alkalization plus mineralization equals regeneration and illumination. So that's my little formula. And okay, so people will go, okay, well, okay, what does that really mean? Okay, well, I'm going to get into it briefly, because I could be here until the sun goes down and tomorrow morning talking about everything that I've received. It doesn't belong to me, it belongs to you, it belongs to everybody. We've all received it from the same source, and most of us here, I think, can understand that. So many levels of deaccumulation. Dr. Parthenia talked about it, and many other of my colleagues have talked about it. Okay, there's what you put in your body through your pie hole. I like to just colorful little things to say. Your pie hole, your mouth. You put things in your mouth. Okay, you ingest, and that's one level of accumulation, toxic accumulation right there. Then there's the other one, this little thing right here, that we put into our mind, body, and spirit, that manifests in our body and turns into disease. And of course, one of the few truths that ever came out of the medical association, the AMA, is stress is the #1 killer. So there's many levels of deaccumulation, and that is the main goal of us all, is to be aware of these levels of accumulation and to purge them out of us. And there's so many tools, and that's what Earth Shift is, nothing more than a tool to help and assist in this process. Earth Shift products, I'd rather call it sounds too commercial, I'll just call it Earth Shift tools to help us attain it. So moving right along, and then of course there's the physiological accumulations, and it's a step-by-step process, and I know it was talked about before earlier, so I'm not going to be redundant and get into it right now. But this is what I have here, is what I call a staple for me. It gets down to simplicity. And when you're first transitioning, like Robert's dad, God bless him, I love him. He's the biggest character next to Robert Cassar I've ever known. And he goes, well, what the bloody heck am I going to eat? Because as soon as people start thinking about changing their diet and going to raw, they think that there's no food to eat. And there's just so much. And I'm going to, again, cut things to the quick and point out two components, basically, of a foundation. All you really need, if you really want to be a raw foodist and a vegan, vegetarian, schmegetarian, it's all conceptual, it really is. Don't get confined into some particular definition. Don't. Just go with your instincts, go with your intuition, but but I've seen it. I've seen the snobbery, people looking down there as well. If you eat this, well then you're not a vegetarian. If you eat that, then you're not a vegan. And if you do this, then you're not a raw foodist or a breatharian or whatever. I mean, it's just all levels in vibration, levels in consciousness. But what I've enjoyed over the 7, 8 years, going on actually it's 9, transition is simplicity, and it does get complex, it seems to be, and the mind, this little tyrant in our head, is always telling us, what am I going to eat? What am I going to get? What am I going to take? What am I going to steal? What am I going to kill? What am I going to do next? I got to have something, eat something, do something to make me feel good. You know, and once it starts to slow down and quiet, and I know Utma talked about it, and many other people are very well aware, when you can listen to this little tyrant in your head telling you what you need next, then you're going to be satisfied, and you can slow it down and basically politely tell it, just shut up, and be cognizant of what it's saying to you. You don't need a whole lot. It's just simplicity. The more still that your mind can become, the more simplicity you will find in your life, and that's what it's all about. Simplicity is so graceful, and it's so effortless. So without any further ado, the base. I'm going to start with the base of this salad, and I'm calling it the super simple food salad. It's simple, it's super, but again, we have to define it as a salad, but I don't even look at it that way because there's nothing salad about it. Originally, we were growing up thinking, okay, salad. Okay, you got some lettuce, you might have some iceberg and some romaine and some tomatoes and a couple of cucumbers. But with everything in it that's in this, if there was nothing else on the face of the earth, to eat, you would not only experience extraordinary health, but you would thrive and continue to grow nutritionally. The whole panel of nutrition, I think, is in this, personally. So you wouldn't be missing a thing, and you can change it up 1,000 different ways, and I don't want to be redundant, but the last time I spoke is that recipe schmecipe, start using your intuition, start playing in the kitchen, and start trusting yourself, and start doing things by instinct, because again, I know I mentioned it several times the other day, chefs did not create recipes. They didn't. They created the foods first, and then for the dummy guides, no offense, because we all need them, there's recipes. But this is a time of self-empowerment, and you need to really focus on doing these things for yourself. So, okay, I like my base, personally for me, and then you use your own personal preferences, and I will add to all these other vegetables I put into it. I like 2 different types of kale for me, which is the red and green. 2 different kinds of cabbage, the red and green cabbage. And then you can start going and building on it from there with your own personal preferences. I don't mix tomato into fruits. For me, I don't do it. But I'm going to start throwing in, let's see here, red bell pepper. I like red, not green. And I like, maybe I'll throw in some arugula and celery. And red onion is the only onion I use. And I'll chop it up real fine, or you just flash. You can just really quickly flash steam it, just like for a couple of seconds, but chop it up real fine. I do it raw, but I chop it up real fine, the broccoli, but any kind of vegetable you like. Okay, just a mixture of just a rainbow of different types of vegetables. Okay, now that's the basics of what I was going to say, 2 components. Go to your farmers markets. Go to your healthier food stores and get the organic vegetables and mix them up what you like. And then the other component is the superfoods. Not just because that we're providing them as a tool, because they truly are superfoods. And here's where I go and start assembling this recipe. Blue-green algae. Again, instinctive. I mean, I'm just going to, and this is what I'm asking everybody to do, is just by instinct. I'm going to sprinkle blue-green algae on here. And when you start off slow, a little bit at a time, and you add as time goes on. When you're experiencing and teaching yourself to be your own chef and your own guru as far as making food. Then I'm going to put a little bit of chlorella in here. And we're all pretty much aware of these. These are superfoods and all the nutrients in it. And if you're doing it right, you're never going to taste it. You're never going to taste it. I mean, yes, it does tend to have a goldfish bowl taste to it if you don't do it right, but after you've made the transition, it actually tastes pretty good. Like one of my favorite snacks, because I only eat once a day, but sometimes I'll eat a snack and I'll take chlorella tablets, a handful of chlorella tablets, a handful of raw pumpkin seeds, and a little bit of Himalayan salt, and munch on that, and then it feels like I just had a gourmet meal, and it tastes phenomenal, and I would prefer that over most anything else. So I put these two components in, blue-green algae, chlorella. I'm going to throw in a little bit of Himalayan salt. I like to sprout pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. Throw that in there. Sprout them, yeah. Now it's really easy. Now if you don't want to wait, I mean it's just to soak them overnight. It's really simple. You soak them overnight, drain them, strain them, and they're ready to use. But if you over a couple of days they start to sprout. Some of that in there. And there's two ways to do this. You can either grind your chia seeds, but I prefer to soak them. You put some chia in there. You can't go wrong with the nutrient density of chia and the omega-3s and 6s, the proteins. It's wonderful stuff. Now, the only downside to soaking it is, sometimes it can be a little bit slimy if people are a little bit queasy about the texture, but that's why you might want to grind it. I also like to throw unpasteurized almonds, and I like to grind those up myself into like a powder, slightly crunchy, not too much of a powder. Yeah, gotta get it all in there. Okay, throw that in there. One of my favorite tools here, so good for you, the heart and everything else, and adds a good spice to it, is cayenne pepper. I better not go too heavy because I'm used to it, most people aren't. And this adds a lot of flavor too, is a good organic mustard, just a little bit. And here's where I'm going to throw a lot of people off. Raw organic honey is my first choice, but if not, this is truly the second best choice, is some agave nectar. It seems like it doesn't fit, but it does. Not much. And then I like to make my own kombucha, and it comes on various strains, but you can, the longer you age it, it turns into a vinegar, very powerful. If not, Bragg's raw vinegar. Throw that on there. And a good olive oil. Can't go wrong with good olive oil, especially if you're Italian. Just throw it together. That's the beauty of it. You don't need to make a separate dressing and whip it all up. This is convenience, by the way. Everybody likes it to be convenient. And I gotta say again, show me what's missing as far as nutrient density. There's the full nutritional panel is in here. Everything is here. Now I'm adding for creaminess, some tahini, some raw organic tahini. Really gives some great creaminess to it. And I like avocado oil. So I'm going to put a little bit of avocado oil in there so I can have just a variety. But there's so much variety in this puppy, and it's truly a super meal, but it's all still simple. It really isn't complex. And just for fun, I know a lot of people like avocado, and so do I, so I'm going to throw some more fats. So you got plenty of fats, plenty of nutrients, plenty of greens. There's nothing missing. And the beauty of it is it's extraordinarily healthy for you, no doubt. And this is my staple. I mean, this gives me more joy. I mean, yes, you can't eat on this alone. You could, and I do, but I can't expect everybody else to. I pretty much is the staple in my diet, and that I enjoy. I should have cut it first, but I'm not. I'm just going to go with it. You know what? We're almost done. The surprising part about it, the chlorellas and the spirulinas and everything else, it's surprisingly good. So when I get out, it's almost funny. It's like the person said, "Oh, you must live a dull life if this is the highlight of your day when you come home." No, it's not so much the highlight, but it really gives me joy to come home and I have this. I think you saw the wooden bowl that was passed around in with the chocolate. That's my trough, I call it. Yeah, sure, I eat once a day, but yes, it is quite large. And I munch that into a liquid. And that's another thing. Yes, we should be having more of a liquid-based diet, but we all enjoy to munch. So now, final thing, mixing it all up. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. A little bit more, I can tell. And yeah, that's it. This is it. I'm going to start. If anybody, of course, wants to have some, I'm going to just dish it out and enjoy. But that's how simple it really is. And I gotta say, I eat this probably 4 or 5 days a week, easy, as my only meal. Yes, it sounds dull, but this is what serves me the best. This for me. Oh, by the way, there's one thing that I left out. Knucklehead. I left out my hemp seeds. I was trying to put everything together, but there's always something missing. I forgot my hemp seeds, but that's all right. It's still going to be good without it. And that's it. I'm going to start dishing this out. Thank you.